Hello there, it's Carrie Rhodes here. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's card making video, I'm playing with the brand new snow globe collection from Simon Hurley at Spellbinders. Now, I have two dies from this collection that I'm going to show you, but there are two other dies you can use with this snow globe. Now, this is the main set right here. This has 17 plates in it, little houses, some sayings, the actual snow globe part of it, trees, little street lights, Santa and his sleigh. It is really cute. So this is the main snow globe section here, and I'm going to jump in to cutting the pieces I need to create a card. So I'm using the little hill, the plain one, and then the one with the house, and I'm cutting that from the circle that creates the opening for the snow globe. Those can be stacked up and create little hills in the front. And then I wanted to show you the rest of the pieces that I'll be using. So I have the big circle, my two hill layers, I've cut out some houses, and these houses all have little windows that you're probably going to have to poke out. Now I cut mine from white glitter paper, so always find I definitely have to poke those out. There's the houses, and you can choose whether or not you want a roof with the chimney or without. There's windows and doors. Here's the little street lamps. They're so tiny and cute. There's 3 different size trees. There's the Santa and his sleigh. And then there's 4 sentiments in this set that you can cut out, and then you can layer it behind a solid piece and put on the base. So here's the house. I'm doing red with brown, and I did a window and a door and a roof without a chimney, and I did my greenhouse the same way. Next, I'm going to create a nighttime sky for my snow globe. So I'm using black soot distress oxide ink, and I don't need to ink up the whole thing because I'm going to be adding those pieces with the houses and the hill, but I am going to create a snowy scene. So I decided to spritz this with my water sprayer there and pick up any excess, and then that reveals a lighter color. But also I'm going to spritz this with my Frozen Fog Distress Mica spray. It is so good. It's just like a hint of silver. Love it. Then I'm going to bring in my Dr. P.H. Martin's Bleed Proof White, add a little water to that, and I'm going to use that to splatter on my card. Now, this kind of brush doesn't work to splatter it where you tap it. This is the kind you want to drag on the edge of your window sheet. You need a bigger paintbrush to be able to do the splatter where you tap the brush. So I have fine white splatter and bigger white splatter, and then I'm going to just set that aside and let it dry. Now, bringing in the base, I cut mine from kind of a lighter brown cardstock, and that's so I could use my Copic markers to add some shading to it and little lines to make it look like it's made out of wood. I love doing this. It is really just dragging your Copic marker and making little skippity lines. Some of them can be thicker, some thinner, some a little elliptical shape. And then I have a darker marker. I just chose 2 browns, one lighter, one darker, and I'm coming in and making even more lines there, and then shadows as well. So there's like 3 definite sections to this base, and there's lines between them. So I am putting darker lines in those grooves that the die created for me, and then I'm also creating shadows on the edge to really show that dimension. And I'm just doing that with the same exact markers, and it turned out really good. It's quick and easy to do. If you aren't used to doing things like this besides just straight up Copic coloring, this is a really easy one to do, wood grain. So I highly recommend that you try it. Now, I did Merry Christmas for my base. I die cut that from some red foil paper and backed it with white. It's so pretty. And then I decided to add a little bit of shadowing on the houses as well. So I just brought out a darker red and a darker green Copic marker to do that. And you can see the houses are 2 different sizes. I like that. We have a little contrast there. I'm going to back my houses with some vellum. So I just stuck it on the corner of this scrap of vellum and then trimmed off the excess because this house is so tiny. And then I did the same thing for the green one because I am going to make a light up card with this snow globe. All right, so let's go ahead and put the things together. First is the hill with the little houses, and those are just going to be white because they're kind of set back off in the distance. And then my second hill here, I'm going to add to the front, and it's lower down, and that's where I can put my other houses and my trees. So I'll before I glue them into place, I'm going to make a hole where my easy light is going to go. So I just kind of eyeballed it and then use my like a poker to poke a hole through this, and I have a mat there so I don't have any trouble pushing that in. And you can see I swirled it around to make the hole a little bit bigger. Now if you wanted this light to like shine a lot in your house, you could pop these houses up with a little bit of foam tape on the edges but not in the middle, but I chose to just glue them straight down. So my light is going to be a little bit more diffused because of the way I adhered them down, but I kind of like the look of like when you're driving around at night and you can just see lights in a house, but they're off in the distance, and it just has that warm, cozy, home-like feel. So that's what I'm going for here. And I'm using the Easy Lights from Pear Blossom Press. Now, these Easy Lights actually have 3 lights on the end of them. I'm actually only going to use 2. So once I get the battery pack in there, I'll show you what I'm going to do there. And that is to just cut one off. Now, I don't know if you guys knew that you could do this. I knew that I could do this, but it's the first time I've ever done it. It's kind of scary, but you know, it is totally fine to cut one off. Or you could cut 2 off, just depends on what you need. All right, so I put the light so the yellow part is face down in that little hole, and I'm taping it in place. You can use any kind of tape to hold this down. I thought I might use yellow to just kind of help give it, I don't know if it would help make it a little bit of a more of a warm glow, but that was what I was going for. Also, I often have a hard time finding the clear Scotch tape in my house because my children steal it all the time. I'm always needing tape, but luckily I did have mine today. I'm just using a little glue dot there to hold down my battery pack. It has a button on it that you want to make sure you put it somewhere so that it's easy for the recipient to press it. And one way to do that is to use a stamp set that's going to tell them to push here. I'm using this one from Trinity Stamps. It's called Paper Crafting Magic. And then I can put that right over where the button is, and then people know just to push there. And I think it looks totally fine on that wood grain type base. All right, I have the paper pad from the Make It Merry card making kit. I totally thought I was going to use this pattern paper right here, and then I just didn't love it. So I picked this pattern instead. It is light green with light green snowflakes. Now, once I get this card all the way done, I feel like I might as well have just used light green cardstock because you can barely see those snowflakes. But I'm taking a little bit of Rustic Wilderness and like a finger dauber type blending brush and just doing a dusting of green around the edge. And then it's time to put the snow globe on top. Now you're going to want some thick foam tape, and Pear Blossom Press does happen to make double thick foam tape, and this foam tape is repositionable. So if you don't like where you put it, you can move it for up to 30 minutes before it becomes permanent. So it's pretty amazing. It's really flexible, and it's the right thickness for Easy Lights. So, or any of the lights that are sold at Pear Blossom Press, because they also have halo lights and one lights and twinkle lights. So some really good stuff. All right, so I'm going to just lay my snow globe onto that card background and figure out where I want to stamp a second sentiment from another of Simon Hurley's stamp sets at Spellbinders. And I wanted this scripty Happy Holidays. So it's going to say Happy Holidays and Merry Christmas. I'm okay with that because Happy Holidays is on the card, Merry Christmas is on the snow globe. So I feel fine with it. There is also like a little sparkle stamp in there. This is actually 2 stamps. One of the images has 2 sparkles on it, and then there's a teeny tiny sparkle that's all by itself. So I just put them together on the block, and then I'm going to stamp this around the top, and I just thought it was a fun little addition. Then I can peel the backing off of that foam tape, the world's best foam tape, it says. Yeah, love it. And then you can see my houses light up, and it's a little bit more of a subtle light, and I like that. Then I added Santa in his sleigh going across the top. I like how it kind of extends out past the snow globe. I think that's cute. All right, so then I'm going to add this to my card base. This is A2 size, so my card base is 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. And then you can see how when I add my card front, which is 4 by 5 1/4, I get a nice white border, and there's my light up snow globe. This set is so much fun. I love anything snow globe. So I was really excited to be able to play with this. There's also a nativity scene you can add to the snow globe and a snowman. Very cute. But the one I'm going to show you is the winter edition. So for this one, I'm going to show you how to use it to make a shaker card. But here is that winter add-on. You can see there's deer, a bunny, trees in like pine trees and birch trees, a different hill, 2 other sentiments, and a moon. So let's play with this. I'm going to start out with my background because I'm going to want this to dry. So I'm bringing in my prize ribbon. I am obsessed with prize ribbon Distress Oxide ink for wintry skies right now. Like you've probably seen this multiple times if you watch my channel, but I decided to start it out on some light blue cardstock instead of white. I'm really going for a blue theme for this card. I did spritz that with water. I let the ink on my mat also get wet so I could use that for splatter. I mean, why waste it? You know, I like to do layers whenever I do a night sky or a winter sky. So I've got water, I've got my color. Now I'm bringing in my shimmer. And this is that same Frozen Fog. I am completely in love with this color for winter. And there you can see what it looks like before it's dry. And then I've got the Dr. P.H. Martin's No Bleed White. And I'm watering that down. And you can see I'm only doing the larger splatter this time, not the tiny splatter. And that is the final layer. So we've got the water, the color, the shimmer, the white. And it's so good. Look at that. Okay, so that's going to need to dry. We're going to move on to our card front background, and I'm going to use white foil on white paper with this new hot foil plate that is like pine bows. Oh my gosh, I love it. Now, I will say, I was a little disappointed with how much actually shows up on this card because the circle of the snow globe takes up so much room. And I know you can't see it here, but my idea was to do some ink blending over the top. So what I'm going to do here is cut out the window for my shaker card, and you can see it's going to cut away a lot of my pine bow background. But I'm going to save that circle and use it for something else. And it'll be in this video. It's the tag at the end of the video. Next, I'm bringing out some glossy black cardstock. This one was super dusty because it was out of the packaging, but I was able to dust it off. And then I thought it was just another way to use that die, that base, without doing wood grain, to do a specialty cardstock. So here's all my cut pieces, the birch trees, the deer, there's antlers you can add, there's layers for the tree so it can look really snowy, and like I said, 2 other sentiments. Love that. So I'm going to lay this out how it's going to go when my shaker card is done, kind of tape the 2 pieces together because I want to make sure I get my snowy hill in the right place. This is just for placement purposes. So that's why it's temporarily adhered down. I want to make sure and, you know, work for myself. So when it comes time to putting the shaker down, it's going to be a little bit easier because nobody likes a shaker that's not lined up. I mean, that's going to make you really sad. It would make me really sad. All the hard work and then it's not lined up, you know. It's horrible. Okay, so adding in those birch trees, these are so cool. I could really see using this one die throughout the year just for these awesome birch trees. They're just like such a good size. They're easy to die cut. Spellbinders does a really good job with detail on their dies. I mean, so good. All right, so I'm adding in my deer that I cut from some like craft cardstock. I think it's called paper bag. And then I'm adding in those antlers. Now I got way too much glue on these antlers, so I looked around and found a baby wipe. I keep these even when they're dry. I use them, and I just tapped off that excess glue. So if that ever happens to you, like a little paper towel, even a scrap piece of paper, you can dab off that excess. So I've added in my other deer, my bunny, I've added my moon. So good. Okay, so it's looking great. I like how it looks in the window, but I wanted to give my moon a little bit of shine, so I brought in my brand new Frozen Fog Distress Micro Crayons and rubbed a little on there. It darkened it just a tiny bit. I did die cut that from some really light gray cardstock, but it gave it a little bit of shine. All right, so let's talk about the card front again. I'm doing the ink resist now with that prize ribbon, but I wanted a white glow around the snow globe. So in the end, not very much of my pine how background is going to show. Also because my snow globe is kind of high up on the card, I wanted to put it on a like a little snowy hill bank. And so I'm going to cover up some on the bottom too. But I'm going to fulfill my desire to have this background ink blended on in my tag with that middle piece. So you can see it only shows up around the edge a little bit, but I do kind of like the effect of having the hint of the pine boughs there. So in the end, it all worked out, but just, things don't always go as you originally envision, right? And I like to just keep going. Just go with it, and maybe it takes you in a new direction that you never thought of for your card, and maybe you try something different that you never thought of. So I always try to just have fun with it. Don't let it stress me out, right? There is no stress in stamping. That's what I say. All right, so I'm taking some foam tape and going around the edge here. I had to pull out some thinner foam tape for this card, and I want to create a secure area for my shaker bits. I like to call it a reservoir, and I want to make sure my foam tape touches on all sides because I'm going to use some tiny things. Now, the mica flakes are not going to escape. Those are awesome for shakers, by the way, but my miniature micro beads, they could easily escape a shaker card. So you really want to make sure there's no area for that. So to help with that, I like to use my glue as a little bit of grout in the areas where my foam tape meets. Plus, adding the glue to my foam tape allows me to move that around if I need to, if I didn't get it lined up perfectly. Like, who gets it lined up perfectly the first time? Not me. Yeah, I need a little wiggle room, and just the idea that I have it really helps. So there's my little snowy hill bank. I just cut that with my scissors, and that is also from white glitter paper, just like the snowy hill inside the snow globe itself. And then I thought that these trees would look really fun on the outside, kind of like on my first card. I had the Santa where it extended outside the snow globe. So that's what I'm doing with these trees. There's such fancy snow globes now. They all have things on the outside, on the inside, on the base. Yeah, they're amazing. So there I'm showing this to you kind of slow so you could see the mica flakes and the micro beads in there. So good. All right, same thing here, an A2 size card base, and I am gluing down my card front. It's going to have a nice white border all the way around. That's my favorite. I like a white border. I hardly ever do where my card front is all the way to the edge. Okay, here I really felt like I needed a little bit of splatter or snowy look on my blue edge, but it's already stuck down. I don't want to splatter it with my sprayer or anything. So I just did some dots with my paintbrush there and let that water oxidize and pick up some of that color. And in the end, I really think it added to the snowy effect of my shaker. Love that. It's so pretty. So there is card number 2. I had to make a shaker. I love shaker cards. But now we're going to bring back that circle with all that pine bough goodness. And I really thought I was going to do the prize ribbon, just what was on my brush, and then some rustic wilderness. I'm going to do blue and green. No. I love the blue so much. Maybe it's my shirt. Maybe because I was wearing a blue shirt, I had to go with all blue. But I even brought back the pad and had it a little darker at the top. I spritzed it with water, only with water, and then I did a little bit of that ink that's on the mat and splattered that as well, and that was it. I didn't add any other splatter. I was so proud of myself because I like to splatter, and then I like to over splatter, and then I like to splatter some more. All right, so I'm adding a red base. This is red glossy cardstock, and then I just did my sentiment strip from white. I didn't back it at all. I just put it down on top of that red base. And then I'm going to add a tree and a bunny. So I'm combining the original snow globe set with this winter add-on. I'm adding the moon, and I know the pine boughs for the background. Is that weird? I mean, if I thought about it, if I planned it out, I would not plan it this way, but it just kind of happened because I was sad about losing out on this background on my last card. So, it just happened because of, making a card. You have to work with what you got, and that's what I did. So I glued everything down. I die cut my Santa also from that same black glossy cardstock, and I cut a second snow globe circle from some It's lightweight chipboard, but it's from a piece of packaging. I like to save such things for occasions like this. I punched 2 holes in it with my crocodile, strung in some red and white baker's twine. Everybody should have this for Christmas time. I love it. I got this last year at the craft store after Christmas on sale, and I was so thrilled with it. I also love to use it for Valentine's, so I keep it out for a while. I glued that to the back after stringing the twine through it, and it's the perfect little tag. It also could be an ornament, right? Because it's so cute. And then I wanted to add another touch of red, so I brought in some red gems. I did lose hold of my container when pouring them in, therefore I had a pile on my desk. That's always super fun, but I decided I would just go with it, use them, and I just can, scrape them to the edge of my glass mat into my tray and put them right back into the container. The bunny was not quite standing out enough, so I brought in my neutral gray markers in 1 and 0, and I'm going to add a little bit of color to that, as well as the moon. The moon die actually presses some texture into the moon, so I was just going over the texture that's already there. And then I'm adding a base to my snow globe on the back, another piece of that lightweight chipboard to really make it sturdy, because there was already a second piece at the top, so it just needed it. All right, next I am adding a piece of black glitter ribbon. I found this ribbon at the thrift store. I've been using it for Halloween projects, and then I've got the black with the Santa, and the glittery is just, fun for Christmas. So I tied that at the base of my twine, and I'm telling you, that is the thing that made this project right there. I mean, besides that awesome background, right? All right, that is my tag. So I really love these snow globes. I'm going to link all of them for you below. There's a whole entire collection. There's a really cool embossing folder that has a die that cuts out poinsettias from it. It's so cool. I'm going to be playing with that. There's also a hot foil set of sentiments. Like, it's such a good collection. I'll have it all linked for you below. Click the visual shopping list and you can open up and see all the things. All right, I will be back again very soon with another video for you. So feel free to subscribe if you're new here. And of course, I love to chat with you in the comments below. So let me know what you think of these cards. Maybe you have a favorite. Maybe you have an idea for me. Share it below, and I will see you then. Happy stamping! Bye!